Okay, could everyone please stand? And we'd like to welcome all of our veteran guests. Please give them a round of applause as they come on in and sing songs. And sit for now. Veterans and guests, thank you so much for being here. This is our third year of this program. We really are glad to have you all here. And each year we seem to get more and more folks coming back. So keep spreading the word, and we'll see you again next year as well. At this time, as we do at all things at East Catholic, I'd like to invite Father Matt Collins up to lead us in prayer.
Before I pray, I would like to make just a quick remark that today the church celebrates the feast of Saint Martin of Tours, who himself was a Roman soldier, and on one of his military campaigns, he came across a beggar, and he took parts of his cloak and cut it with his sword and gave it to this beggar. And then, in a dream that he had, he dreamt of that beggar, who was then Christ. And so St. Martin of Tours gave a part of himself to this man. And so how fitting it is that we celebrate Veterans Day today on his feast, where we remember his selfless sacrifice and service to this blind beggar and to all who he ministered to as a bishop after he left the military, and how we celebrate our veterans who selflessly gave up their own lives in order to promote peace and to protect our life here on our home front. So we thank you, veterans, for your service, and we pray for the intercession of St. Martin of Tours, as well as St. George, the patron saint of military men and women, to continue to bless you and keep you. Let us pray. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. O God, today we remember our veterans, the men and women who have given their lives in service to our country. from the Air Force, the Army, the Coast Guard, the Marines, the Navy, and the National Guard. We thank them for their selfless sacrifice and service to protecting the people and the freedom and rights we enjoy of so great a nation. We ask you, Heavenly Father, to strengthen and protect all in our military, those serving now in the present and those who will serve in the future. Give them the courage to endure any challenges they face, protect them in battle, and may they prosper in times of peace. Watch over the families of those who serve and have served, knowing that they also make a sacrifice for their country. As the loved ones are abroad, they are at home, serving the home front through their own labors and giving of themselves for the prosperity of our great nation. On this Veterans Day, as we remember our veterans, may it be by their example that we may all do our part through our faith and trust in you to preserve and promote peace throughout the world. And we ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
Thank you, Father. I just have a little piece I'd like to read to you that I came across earlier over this weekend. It comes from a gentleman, Reverend Robert S. White from Cleveland, Ohio, and I thought it was pretty poignant. My fellow Americans, these are his words, not mine. My fellow Americans, today as we commemorate Veterans Day, we reflect on the sacrifices and the valor of those who have bravely served our nation's military. It is a day to honor and pay tribute to all American veterans who have dedicated themselves to protecting the freedoms we hold dear. As we look back on the history of Veterans Day, we are reminded of the advocacy and perseverance that led to the official recognition by President Dwight Eisenhower in 1954. The American Legion, through its leadership in organizing an All Veterans Day celebration in Emporia, Kansas, played a pivotal role in the establishment of this meaningful holiday. Their vision for a day of remembrance and rejoicing truly encapsulates the spirit of Veterans Day, a day to honor those who have selflessly placed their love of God and country more than anything else. From the Revolutionary War to the present day, the men and women who have served in our military have exemplified the values of devotion to liberty, freedom, and the unwavering commitment to upholding the ideals of this great nation. While the responsibilities of each generation of veterans may have evolved, their dedication to serving our country remains a timeless bond that unites them. As Americans, it is our responsibility to ensure that every veteran feels valued and respected for their service. We must recognize the sacrifices they have made and express our gratitude for their selfless dedication to protecting our freedoms. Whether it's a simple thank you for your service or a heartfelt welcome home, these gestures of appreciation hold great significance to those who have served. In today's world, the number of veterans in our population has decreased significantly, with active duty service members comprising a mere fraction of a percent. Yet the impact of their service reverberates across our nation and beyond. In times of crisis, such as during natural disasters or conflicts abroad, our service members have consistently stepped up to provide aid, support, and protection. The dedication and sacrifice of our service members are evident in the deployment of troops to regions around the world, the safeguarding of our maritime transportation system, and the myriad of daily operations that ensure the security and prosperity of our nation. We must never forget the contributions of these brave individuals and the immense value they bring to our society. As we honor the men and women who have served and continue to serve in the armed forces, we offer our deepest gratitude and respect. Their courage, resilience, and commitment to defending our nation embody the very essence of what it means to be an American patriot. To all our veterans, past and present, we say we will never forget you, and may God bless America. On Veterans Day this year, let us come together as a grateful nation to honor the extraordinary service and sacrifice of our veterans. May we always remember their legacy of courage and dedication, and may we never take for granted the freedom and security they have brought to preserve all of us. The Reverend, this is written by, as I mentioned before, the Reverend Robert S. White, the Assistant Chaplain of the American Legion in the Department of Ohio, and I thought those words were pretty wonderful. A heartfelt thank you from me on behalf of East Catholic High School, and at this point, I'd like to invite Maria to come up and give the Pledge of Allegiance. So when she gets up here, we'll all stand. Maria.
Good morning. My name is Maria Pinello, and I would like to thank my father for his service. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for the national anthem. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous skies, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming. And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Thank you, Mr. Ling. Thank you, Eche. Great job, as always. At this time, I'd like to introduce our keynote speaker. We always try to have an alum or a family member or someone connected to East Catholic speak on this day. You'll hear from a lot of voices, but we just introduce our keynote at this point. David Callahan, class of '83. Dave is a native of Manchester, Connecticut, who graduated from East Catholic High School in 1983. He played varsity basketball and varsity soccer and was involved in numerous activities while at East. Upon graduation, Dave attended Villanova University in Villanova, Pennsylvania on a Naval ROTC scholarship. After graduation in 1987, Dave attended Surface Warfare School in Newport, Rhode Island, and then he served on board the USS Affray and the USS Antrim as a surface warfare officer. Much of the time spent at sea in the Navy was along the east coast of the United States, the Caribbean, and the Gulf of Mexico. After leaving the military, Dave embarked on a 30-year career in the mortgage industry, owning several companies during that span. Currently running a sales branch for a company in New Jersey called Atlantis Mortgage, Dave is also a partner of a 55,000 square foot athletic facility in Oceanport, New Jersey, the Fort Athletic Club. Dave also does business development for a hedge fund, DT Capital, and is the head girls, I like this, the head girls varsity basketball coach for Rumson Fairhaven Regional High School in Rumson, New Jersey. Dave currently resides in Brielle, New Jersey. He has 2 sons, Colin and Shane, and 5 grandchildren with 1 more on the way. Please put your hands together and welcome David Callahan.
Wow, what an honor it is to be here today. It really is amazing. I'm sure you've heard your parents and your grandparents say this to you. Time goes by like this. It goes so fast. So I implore each and every one of you to take your time, enjoy each day, learn what you can, and just take it as an easy pace. All right? I walked into this auditorium and I felt like I walked out of here 5 minutes ago. And it's been a long time since I've been here. A really, really long time. I'm absolutely honored to be here. When Mrs. Riley called and asked me to come and speak, I was for it. I really was. There are so many great alumni, so many great military officers, male, female, that have come through these halls to get the chance to speak to you. My experiences just absolutely blew me away. They really did. One thing I'm going to ask is that, I'm going to speak for about 10 minutes, that's it. If I see you drifting, I'm going to say together. When I say together, if you could clap twice, that would be awesome. Let's practice it. Together. Together. Awesome. Awesome. You guys are winning, and I love that. I love it. I didn't get a chance to say hello, but I was fortunate enough to play soccer and basketball here at East Catholic, and I had Coach Mallon was my JV basketball coach and my varsity soccer coach for 3 years, and I couldn't believe how amazing he was. For those who don't know, he was a killer basketball player. He was all-state, won East Catholic his first state championship. And when he was our soccer coach, I don't know if he still has a nickname, but he had the nickname of the Shadow, all right? Because he always knew what was going on. So when you see Coach Mallon, just understand the history that he has with the school and how much he's done to help build this into the great, great academic institution that it is, all right? So I had a couple of things that I was going to talk about this morning, but it might be for a little older generation. But people ask me, hey, how did you get involved? What made you, or what drove you, or what interest did you have in the military? Why did you go ROTC? Why did you choose the Navy? And that started at a really, really, really young age for me. And it started with my father. My father was a World War II veteran. He was in the 17th Airborne, the Golden Talons. Their motto was Thunder from Heaven. He fought in 3 of the biggest major battles in World War II. He was awarded the Bronze Star for Valor. He was awarded a Purple Heart. And he was just as all your parents are, if you're lucky enough to have both your parents still, he was just a massive presence in my life. And he, like all parents and all of us sons and daughters, we sometimes have a complicated relationship with our parents. They're tough on us, they're hard on us, they expect a lot out of us. Sometimes, maybe too soft, sometimes maybe too hard. So as a young person, I wanted to, why was my father like that? And it kind of always came back to the military. And as a youngster, I was fascinated by the military. Now, growing up, when we grew up in the 70s and the early 80s, it's a lot different than it was today. Very much the same, but very much different. We didn't walk around with a supercomputer in our hands. I could really date myself now, but we had rotary phones, if you even know what those are. We had 3 television stations growing up. We had ABC, CBS, and NBC. And if we were lucky, if you held the antenna right on the top of your roof, and your dad had you hold the rotor box, you could get Channel 38 from Boston and maybe 9 and 11 from New York City. We had PBS. That was it. That was it. There was no social media. We relied on the radio for information and the television for information. We relied on the newspaper the next day to read about what happened the day before. None of this instant knowledge. But the wonderful thing that provided is it pushed us outside. I was never in my house. Ever. Ever. We would leave at 8 o'clock in the morning, come back at 7, 8 o'clock at night. Our parents had no idea where we were. It was like speaking the truth. But during that time, what we would do is we would emulate our fathers. Especially as a young boy, we'd build forts. We'd pretend we were soldiers. We would just spend hours climbing trees, pretending we were in the military, pretending we were doing the things that our heroes did. And that was such a huge, huge part of my life growing up. And then as I got older and started to learn a little bit more, and my brain started flipping a little bit, I started reading. And I recommend to all of you, because it took me a while to really start reading my assignments in East Catholic, read your assignments. Read the Cliff Notes, AI, all that stuff. The enjoyment and the knowledge that I've gained through reading books is incredible. And of course, what did I focus on in the books that I wanted? I focused on military. I focused on military history. I focused on naval battles, army battles, Air Force battles. I wanted to just soak in and learn as much as I could. But I wasn't one of those people that said no matter what, I was gonna be in the military. It just was something that was always in the back of my mind, but it wasn't always something that drove me. But again, my father was always there, and it was a constant. It was a constant. And when you're a 10-year-old kid and your father wakes up in the middle of the night with rage in his eyes, just trying to defend himself, not knowing where he is, it can have an impact on him. It can. And that happened too many times for me to be able to count. And what I know now is obviously that generation is called the greatest generation ever. Never complained, never said anything. My father obviously had PTSD. It just was untreated, undiagnosed. But again, it was a driving force for me to make me say, help me to understand what happened here and why this happened. And I even to this day, I constantly read books on naval history, army history, whatever it might be. So, as I came to East Catholic, I played sports, I got involved with student government, I got involved as much as I could. I made incredible friendships here in East Catholic. To this day, I'm still friends with countless people. And it was a day I'll never forget. It was after a soccer practice one day. I was kind of walking off the field, the practice field, up where the baseball field is now. And Coach Mallon came up to me and said, Dave, I just want you to know that the Army, West Point, Naval Academy, Army ROTC and Navy ROTC were in asking for potential students to, go down that path, look down that path. And I gave him your name. I was flattered. I was like, Coach, thank you. And I had no words. I had no words for the honor that it was. So I pursued West Point, and I secured a nomination from my senator, and I was offered. I was deferred, and I was offered to go to West Point Prep for a year, which I decided not to because I was anxious. I was 17. I wanted to get my life moving. So I accepted a Naval ROTC scholarship to Villanova University. It was a 4-year scholarship, and it was the best decision of my life, bar none. My parents didn't have a lot of money. I was not going to Villanova without this scholarship. I had already picked out another school. I was going somewhere else. It was the absolute best decision I have ever made. And what did ROTC consist of? Essentially one day a week, we had drill, we learned how to march, we did PT, physical training, we took special classes. I got a minor, I'm a finance major, but I got a minor in naval science at Villanova. And it was awesome. We had largest ROTC unit in the United States at that time for a small school. And it was formative for me. And I knew at a young age, obviously, I had vision issues. I could not be a pilot, which initially is what I thought I wanted to do. So upon graduation, I became a surface warfare officer. My father became very sick when I was graduating Villanova and passed away at a young age. But I was able to get Newport, Rhode Island as my first duty station. So I was able to come home and see him as much as I possibly could. My experience in the Navy was obviously life-changing. I'll never forget the first time I walked on a ship. I was 21 years old. I was an ensign in the Navy, and I walked on, and somebody said, "Good morning, Mr. Callahan." And I turned around because I thought my father was behind me. This was a man twice my age, calling me Mr. Callahan, and I was like, "Whoa, this just got real. This got real fast." So, as a 19-year-old, I got on a plane. I had to go to this special airport in the middle of outside of Philadelphia. I got these orders in the mail saying, "Boom, you got to be here." I flew to Cuba, basically with 2 other people on a plane. I'm like, "Wait, Cuba isn't a communist?" But I flew down to Guantanamo Bay, which is a naval base down there, and there's a lot of training that's going on. Guantanamo Bay is midshipman. Spent 6 weeks aboard that ship in the summer, and just learned so much. Not just about technology and ships and everything else, but just about the human spirit and the power of the brotherhood and sisterhood of being in the service. It was an amazing experience. So what did I do in the Navy? Basically, what we projected was as I was getting on in my Villanova, we're coming close to graduation on May 17, 1987. The USS Stark took a missile. If anybody remembers that, it was F-2 Exocet missiles. They were in the Persian Gulf. An Iraqi plane shot 2 missiles at it. The first missile did not go off. Second missile did. 37 men were killed instantly. 17 were wounded. But the heroics of the crew of that ship, they saved the ship. They saved it. And that ship ended up being one of my sister ships as I graduated and rolled on into the Navy. And just to talk to the veterans, the people who lived through that, was pretty amazing stuff. And then about a year later, the USS Samuel Roberts, who was my actual sister ship, we were side by side in Jacksonville, Florida, hit a mine in the Persian Gulf. It blew the ship about 30 feet out of the air. It had a 16-foot hole in the front of the ship. The keel of the ship broke. Anybody knows anything about shipbuilding? The keel is what keeps the ship strong and together. The keel snapped in half, and they said, "We got to abandon the ship." And the guys on the ship said that they were getting ready to go abandon the ship because they thought they were going to sink. And they looked overboard, and all they saw were sea snakes everywhere. Like, man jumping in that water. No way. So they fought and fought and fought. They managed to get power back up, and they used auxiliary propulsion units to get them out of the minefield. And to their credit, to the credit of the medical staff on that ship, no one passed away that day. But I knew I was going in the harm's way. That was like a slap across the face. Like, hey, you better have everything together. When you're in class, and you're learning about damage control systems, when you're learning about missile control systems, when you're learning how a cruise missile works, you better pay attention. You better pay attention. Because your life and the life of all the people under you are your responsibility. It's pretty awesome power. It's an awesome response. I shouldn't say power, that's the wrong word. It's awesome responsibility. And it scared me. It scared the fear of failing my troops, my sailors, and my fellow officers motivated me more than anything else in this world could motivate me. I was on high alert for 4.5 years. And I was very fortunate. I was attached to a detachment, and we did, back in the late 80s, early 90s, there was a war on drugs. So I spent most of my time off the coast of Colombia, the country of Colombia. I spent a lot of time in the Caribbean monitoring and stopping the flow of drugs coming into the country at that time. I could talk to you for hours about that. I got a chance to go through the Panama Canal, which was awesome. Spent some time on the Pacific side. I saw 15 different, spent time in 15 different Caribbean nations. We had some great times and we had some really difficult times too. That's what any member of the military will tell you. Anyone. I got married in that time. I had my first son, my 3rd year in, and this is the reason that people say, well, why did you love it so much? Why did you get out? So this is what people do not understand about the military. The sacrifices that not only the veterans and the current soldiers, sailors, and airmen in the force now, it's the stress on the families. When my son's first year of his life, I was out to sea for 7 months. And he was born, I was at his birth, I had to fly back the next day. We went out to sea for about a month. He was colicky. Miracle for me is when the day I came back, he stopped being colic. I consider myself very lucky for that, but the strain that it took out my wife was brutal. And then about 2 months later, I went out to sea for 4 months. And when you come back to sea, from sea, for being away that long, you have a party on the pier, and everyone gets dressed up. We have a big in the wardroom, in the officer's room. We had a big party. My wife came on with my son, and I'll never forget it. I held my son in my arms. He didn't know who I was. Didn't know who I was. And he sat in my arm, and he's looking at me for 15 minutes, and I'm shaking hands, meeting people, meeting wives, meeting new people. And all of a sudden, my voice must have clicked in. And he just gave me a big hug. I was like, that was it for me. I knew at that point that I was going to do everything I could to be the best father that I could. And I didn't know that I could do that being in the military full time. So that's why I got out. And I commend people. I have a friend of mine, his son. He's got a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. His son, grandsons. His son is getting ready to go away for 9 months. I can see his kids for 9 months. The sacrifices that people make to keep this country safe are insane. Absolutely insane. So we must make sure we thank our veterans. What did the military do for me? It opened so many doors for me. It still opens doors for me today. It still opens doors for me today. Every day when I wake up, I make my bed. There's a famous speech by a Navy SEAL admiral talking about tonight. You've done one thing. You started your day off. Don't let your mom do it. Don't let your dad do it. Make it yourself. Make it yourself. And if you got to do something, don't put it off. Do it now. That's what it told me. Do it now. I've been a coach at Rumson Fairhaven High School down on the Jersey Shore. It's a public school. We got about 1,000 students. I have had some of the greatest athletes in the country play for me. I've had a captain of the Vanderbilt football team who did a graduate year at Auburn. He was captain of the Auburn football team as well. Captain of Vanderbilt and Auburn football. I had the Big East offensive player in lacrosse, Jack Curran, went to Villanova, Big East Offensive Player of the Year. This past year, I coached a girl, her name is Chase Boyle. You can look her up after the, Chase was one of the 3 finalists for the Tarwin Award for girls lacrosse, which anybody who plays lacrosse knows that's the Heisman Trophy. Chase Boyle, phenomenal athlete. Your younger sister just graduated this past year, she's going to play at Ohio State. And those are just the tip of the iceberg. But I get asked every day, who's the greatest leader you ever coached? And I do not, I have a girl's captain at Holy Cross up in Massachusetts. She's captain of the girls basketball team over there now. I don't hesitate for 1 second who my greatest leader was. His name is Kevin Alton. His nickname was Kookie. Kevin Kookie Alton. He's 5'6.5", 5'7". small but tough, phenomenal athlete. He was a kid who would pitch the ball, get the shortstop, run up to first base when you were 4 years old, and get a triple play. And he was always a tremendous athlete. But more than that, Kevin had a self-confidence in a young student that I have never seen before, and I've never seen it duplicate. When he was a sophomore at Rumson High School, he decided he was going to take the strength and conditioning program for the basketball team on by himself. He said, Coach, I got it. And this kid, we had 100 kids trying out for the basketball team. He would have 30 kids in the weight room, 30 kids on the stairs, and 30 kids on the field, all doing different calisthenics. And they would all just come up to him and wait for him for what his next orders were. The kid was 15 years old. He started the Straight Edge Club at Rumson High School. If you don't know what that is, that's someone who never drank, never smoked, never drank, never did any drugs, anything at Rumson High School. As everyone continued to grow, Kevin did not. He was 5'6", 5'6.5". And again, he was an amazing athlete. And he got overlooked often for sports. We had a new coach that came in, my business partner, and the boys coach at Rumson. And he said, I'm going to take a chance on this kid. And he played him all the time. Kevin ended up being an all-state point guard at 5'6.5", and he got one Division I basketball offer, and that was to the United States Naval Academy. He went down to the United States Naval Academy. He started a charity at his house, a charity softball game, when he was 17 years old. He raised money for homeless troops. Each team got a sponsor. He went out and got private sponsors. Raised $20,000 a year for homeless troops. He was recognized for this at the Final Four his senior year. He got the Good Hands Award from Allstate. They brought him in to the Final Four and they gave him an award on national television. When he was a junior at the Naval Academy, he was a captain of the basketball team. If you understand anything about the Naval Academy, that's impossible. It's always the same. Always. He was a captain his junior and senior year. When he was a senior, he was convinced he was going to be a surface warfare officer. He was in class one day, and he gets a tap saying, Midshipman Alter, someone wants to speak with you. Comes out of the office. They bring him down to the office. And who's sitting in the office? The Commandant of the Marine Corps. The #1 ranking Marine in the United States. He said, sit down, Mr. Alter. He said, you're a Marine, whether you know it or not. We need people like you. We want people like you. And he said, I guess I'm a Marine. We switched his LOS, and now he's a Marine. So we stayed in touch, obviously. He's a great kid. And he ended up graduating Naval Academy, got stationed in San Diego, California. He was doing so well, they said, we're wasting this kid's talent in the field. Offered to send him to Naval Postgraduate School, went to Naval Postgraduate School, excelled there. Said, well, we're going to send you now to the Pentagon. We're going to have you learn Vietnamese, about 4 Southeast Asian languages. He learned all of those languages in a year. And then they sent him to Vietnam, and he was the liaison officer to the embassy, to the ambassador, and he just went around Southeast Asia and promoted the United States of America. Came back, served in Philadelphia for a year. Now he just got promoted to major. He had a ceremony in our hometown at the park where he grew up playing basketball. It was beautiful. He was promoted early to major. This kid's going to be a general someday. And it's kids and people like him that give me the confidence in this country. Because Kevin, at 5'6", is what I call a peaceful warrior. He is a kid that can inflict great harm on others if need be. You cannot be peaceful if you cannot inflict harm on others. You're just a wimp. You're just a pushover. The only way to be peaceful is if you have the ability to do harm to others and choose not to do it, and to choose people to live with compassion and humility. And that is what I see in our military today. That is my hope and dream have the greatest military in the world. And for those who have a calling for it, I commend you. Follow it, go for it. It's an amazing life. It really is. But what I hope for in our military today is we continue to have the greatest, strongest, most technologically advanced, greatest warriors on the planet, and we never, ever, ever have to wield that power. Ever. That is my goal, that not one service member dies, not one person in this earth dies because of war. But the only way to make sure that happens is for us to be at our strongest as a country. Unified together. I've served with every nationality, every color, both sexes. I've served with everybody. Everybody that serves with me is my brother and my sister. That's the way I think of them. We are one giant family. And for them, I thank them. For all the people sitting here in front, thank you for your service. You guys, you people are amazing. And I really, really thank you for the sacrifices that you've made. To the students, again, every single one of these people sitting in these first 4 rows would switch places. In a second, they would switch places with you. And have your opportunity that you have now. So make sure you owe it to yourself, you owe it to your families, you owe it to your grandparents, your parents, whoever sacrificed to get you to where you are today. Make sure you thank them, even if they didn't thank them today. Thank them, because they worked hard to make that happen for you. All right? All right. So, in closing, I just want to say, again, you guys are amazing. You really are. And the opportunity that you have in front of you right now, whether you're going to go to trade school after this, whether you're going to learn a trade, whether you're going to go to Harvard, Yale, University of Chicago, wherever it might be, I want you to just do me a favor and just do your best every single day. If you do your best every single day, if you put your head on the pillow at the end of the night, go to sleep, get a great night's sleep because you've got nothing to worry about. You wake up the next day and you do it again and it becomes a habit. And that's the best way to live your life. All right? So I want to thank everybody for having me here today. Happy Veterans Day. Again, make sure you thank a vet, and I thank you for your attention. Together. Have a great day, folks. Thank you.
Mr. Callahan, thank you very much. That was awesome. Wow, thank you very much. Good morning. For those of you who do not know, my name is Raymond Martin. I'd like to thank Ms. Riley and Ms. Andrews again for putting this together. Having had the opportunity to work on this project this year and 2 years prior, I know that a lot of work goes into this, and they work tirelessly, and just thank you very much, guys. So let's give them one more hand. Second, again, I'd like to thank our veterans for being here. It's an honor and a privilege to host you here at East Catholic today, just as we have these last 2 years. Just thank you for coming out, and we appreciate having you here. And it's awesome. It's awesome to have you here. So many schools, not only in the state of Connecticut but around the country, have Veterans Day off. But 2 years ago, Mr. Brennan decided that East Catholic would use this day to recognize and show appreciation to our veterans. We have also had the ability and used this time to learn some of the military traditions. For example, last year we learned the significance of poppies in the poem Flanders Fields by John McRae, how to interpret the symbols on military headstones, the significance of coins left on military headstones, and the prayer that is said for each of the 13 folds of the American flag. This morning, veteran Mr. Fiorentino gave a flag folding workshop. We had a question and answer session with some of our own veterans, Coach Mallon, Mr. Hinton, Mr. Link. And still to come is flag protocol by Carly Albano and Michaela de Salazar, and a short video on the history of TAPS introduced by Mr. Alex O'Brien. And at the conclusion of our day, Mr. Fiorentino will show us the proper way to take down the flag as we gather around the flagpole just outside the doors. Followed by that, we would hear taps played by Will and Josh. But at this moment, I would like to invite Carolina Perko, who will come up to share a surprising correspondence from last year's Veterans Day program. Carolina, over to you.
Thank you, Raymond. Good morning. My name is Carolina Pritko. I'd like to start off by thanking my dad for his 22 years of service in the U.S. Army and the U.S. National Guard. Last year, 2 buses of students went to the East Cemetery in Manchester to leave pennies on the headstones of veterans as a gesture of thanks. In case you didn't know, the significance of the coins are as follows. Quarter, you were with the soldier when they were killed. Dime, you served with them in some capacity. Nickel, you trained with them at boot camp. Penny, you stopped and paid your respects. On January 11th, this message was posted on the Manchester CT Live Facebook page. Hi there, everyone in Manchester. I am hoping you all can help me out. I grew up in Andover, but moved to Vermont 35 years ago. Earlier this week, I stopped to visit my dad's grave, located in one of the military sections of the East Cemetery. To my surprise, there were 3 pennies on top. When I looked around, all the headstones had some sort of coin on them. I just want to thank the individual or group for thinking of the veterans. It meant the world to me to know that someone is also watching over my dad. As you can imagine, I don't get to visit very often, and I am the only family left. This is not a scam or a fishing expedition. I talked to the cemetery while I was there, and I reached out to the veterans of foreign wars to no avail. Any help is appreciated, and I hope that you all are well. One of our teachers let her know that the East Catholic students have left pennies on November 11th. Her response: thank you so much for reaching out and sharing the story of your students. This is such a wonderful gesture. Please let the kids know how much their acts of kindness meant to me. It brought tears of joy while remembering my best friend. I am so glad I left the pennies as they were. I knew there was a significance. This just goes to show that our small act of kindness made a meaningful impact. Now I would like to invite Carly and Michaela to the stage to tell us about the flag protocol.
Hi, my name is Carolina Aldana. Hi, my name is Michaela Dezar, and I would like to thank my parents for their service. Today, Carly and I are going to talk a little bit about flag etiquette. You will learn what you should and shouldn't do with the American flag. First, when the American flag is carried with other flags, it should either be marching right or front and center of the flag line. When it is on a float in a parade, the flag should be hung from a staff or suspended so it falls free. It should never be draped over a vehicle. When the American flag is displayed with another flag against a wall, it should be placed on its own right, which is left from the perspective of the person facing the wall. Its staff should always be in front of the other flag's staff. When displayed with other flags from staffs, the U.S. flag should be at the center and the highest point. When the American flag is being displayed from a staff, it should be flat or hung in the air so the folds are free. When it is displayed over a street, the Union, which is the blue area with 50 white stars, should face north or east depending on the direction of the street. When the U.S. flag is extending from a building, the Union should be at the peak of the staff, facing out from the building, unless the flag is at half-staff.
When flags of states, cities, or organizations are on the same staff, the U.S. flag must be at the top, except during church services conducted at sea by Navy chaplains.
A staff is the vertical pole that supports the flag, but when a boat or a ship, it's referred to as a mast. The flag can be flown at half-staff or half-mast to honor a recently deceased federal or state official, based on an order from the President or the Governor. On Memorial Day, the flag should be flown at half-staff until noon to honor those who have died in military service.
When the flag is being raised or lowered, or when it passes by in a parade or review, Americans should show respect by standing at attention, facing the flag, and placing their right hand over their heart. Uniformed military members should salute the flag. Men who are not in uniform should remove their hat and hold it with their right hand over their heart at their left shoulder. When the U.S. flag is too worn out or damaged to be displayed, it should be destroyed respectfully, usually by burning to show proper honor. The local VFW also accepts damaged flags to dispose of properly. Traditionally, the flag should only be displayed in public from sunrise to sunset, but it may be displayed at any time if it is properly lit at night. To avoid damage, the flag should not be displayed in rain, snow, or strong winds unless it is specifically made for all-weather use.
Out of respect for the U.S. flag, you should never dip the flag for any person or thing. Other flags may be dipped as a sign of respect, but never the U.S. flag. Never display the flag with the Union down unless it's to signal distress, in an emergency or time of danger. Never allow the flag to touch the ground, floor, or anything beneath it. The American flag should never be carried horizontally. It should always be held upright, never flat. Never display or hang the flag in a way that could damage it or make it dirty. You should never place anything on the flag, like letters, logos, or designs, and it should never be used to hold anything or serve as clothing, bedding, or curtains. The flag should be worn as part of a costume or sports uniform. However, a small flag patch can be worn by military members, police officers, firefighters, or members of patriotic organizations. Lastly, never use a flag for advertising or place it on items like napkins, boxes, or anything meant to be thrown away.
In conclusion, the American flag stands for our country's values, history, and sacrifices made by so many people. Showing respect for it through proper etiquette is one way we can honor all of that. Our own East Catholic veteran, Mr. Link, will conduct Eshe in the singing of the military medley.
Good morning. As the choir sings your service song, we'd like to ask that anyone who's in that service will stand and be recognized during their service song. United States Army. United States Marines. Let's take that for them.
Good morning. My name is Sabrina Rothby, and I would like to again thank all the veterans present today for your service. One of the most familiar and emotionally powerful military melodies is taps. It is a simple piece played on a bugle. Master Sergeant Yari Valley described taps in this way. Its echo lingers in the heart long after its tones cease to vibrate in the air. The same can be said about those who have made the ultimate sacrifice. Their legacy lingers, and their bravery is not forgotten. The most memorable playing of taps was on November 25, 1963, at the burial of President John F. Kennedy. The bugler cracked one of the notes. The next day, the newspapers attributed the mistake to the quivering lip of the bugler, who was full of emotion. We would like to share a video on the history of taps.
We're not doing this again.
Thank you, Sophie. You bring it. Okay, we are almost done with the program for today. At this point in time, what we're going to do is excuse our veterans. You're going to go right up. Adrian, hold up your hand, right out that side door. We have seats out there for you next to the flagpole. Students, just hold tight where you are, although we are going to give them a hand as they depart. And then we will go out the back two doors and out the front. And if you remember from Mrs. Riley's description earlier, you're going to go around the circle in the driveway, in the circular driveway. You don't go on the grass on either side, it's probably wet. So just line up around that 3/4 of it, not blocking the seats that are under the overhang, okay? So, once again, I cannot thank you enough for being here, being our guest today. I hope you enjoyed the program. We certainly thank you for your service. We thank you for all that you do in your time of service, but also after your service as well. You are part of our family, so make sure that you stay in touch and get to see you again next year. So please, at this time, we'll ask you to go out this way. Everybody else, give them a hand. Great job. Perfect. All right, you all can head on out. Orderly fashion, please, out to the driveway. Thank you. Good job today, everybody. Very attentive and respectful, as we hoped.